Welcome to Gene and Mike do the New York Times crossword.
Hi, I'm Jean.
And I'm Mike. And today we're doing the crossword for Wednesday, January 8th, 2025. So, on what is undoubtedly the middle of the week, did you do the crossword?
I did do the crossword in the middle of the week.
In the middle of the week? And how did you find this? Did you find this sort of a fair to middling crossword?
Well, I actually found it a little bit challenging,
Uh-huh.
and I really wasn't sure on a couple of them. And so at the end, I just started putting letters in, and eventually I got, congratulations, you found solved the puzzle. So
Oh, good.
it was just a fluke. It wasn't any great knowledge on my part or strategy. It was just let's do hit and miss here, and
Mm-hmm.
hopefully we hit.
Yeah, I found there were a couple of places here that I just got stuck because
Yeah.
they involved pop culture, but it turns out those weren't my problem areas.
Oh,
The uh the problem I had, let's see, 26 down, Rick of Rick rolling fame was Astley.
that's right.
And when they use fame, they ought to put that in double quotes, in my opinion. Who is Rick of Rick rolling?
Oh, Rick Astley. He had the hit "Never Gonna Give You Up," "Never Gonna Let You Down," and I don't know. It's just kind of become a pop icon. Uh,
Really?
But yeah,
I
that was
must have.
probably the only hit I think he had.
Well, I missed that one hit, so I apologize to Rick.
Oh,
And then, but the E of Astley, now that I now know ends in an E, crossed
mhm.
with 44 cross, actress Sky of Say Anything.
Right.
And I thought the word Iona sounded better than what turned out to be the answer, Ione, or
I own.
possibly
Yes.
I won. I'm not sure how you pronounce that.
It's I own. I
It's
own Sky.
it's not I won.
Nope.
Okay, that's a relief.
Uh,
And I take it you knew that,
I did know that. Yes.
right? So yeah, so that was what I thought was my major corner. But it turns out the real problem was 48 across, surveyor's measure. I had it starting with an R, I had it ending with a D, and the middle letter was suspect because it came at the end of Southwestern Gully, and it's an arroyo.
That's correct.
And I thought that the surveyor's measure would be a rad, short for radians.
No.
And so I had rad in there and Arroya. That sounded good. It sounded vaguely Spanish. It was ending in an A, which is,
Yes.
as far as I'm concerned, any word that ends with an A is Spanish. And so I went through all the letters with trying. I was pretty sure. Well, actually, I was even a little bit unsure about 40 across. You know how it is when you're stuck and you start second guessing everything.
Yep.
Related the form was modal. And I thought, oh, it's
Right.
got to be modal. So I worked through all the letters for Ione, and eventually I realized that I had a tr that I looked at rad, and there's no abbreviation in the clue surveyor's measure. And listeners, usually if there's an abbreviation in the clue, that's a tip that you have to put an abbreviation in the answer. There wasn't any abbreviation, so it couldn't have been rad, had to be
No,
rod.
it was Rod. Yes.
And I don't know exactly how long a rod is, but
Um, I don't know exactly either. It's less than a mile.
okay.
Um,
And it's not to be confused with the ones the Fisher people use.
nope.
Okay,
No,
good.
it is a measure. It is a measure. Hmm.
This crossword was by Laura Dershowitz. It seems to me I always have problems with Laura Dershowitz crosswords. It doesn't matter what day of the week they appear. Uh,
Uh-huh.
she's only done Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. Actually, she's only done three, um, which means I've had trouble with at least two-thirds of the crosswords she has produced because the name was familiar to me, and
Oh, uh-huh.
it doesn't cause quaking and anxiety in the same way that, say, a Sam Azursky or a Sid Sivakumar puzzle would just cause me to keel over. But I
Dear.
I feel a little uneasy when Laura's in the hot seat, and I think it's because she and I don't think on quite the same wavelength.
Uh-huh.
Having said that, I love the crossword. I thought the crossword was great. It just,
Uh-huh.
there's just if only I had known Arroyo. And
We've
I
had
thought,
that before. We
well,
have had
no.
that
So here's the
many
thing.
times.
I thought exactly the same thing. I thought, oh, we've had Arroyo before. So
Hmm.
I looked it up in Xword Info, and it claims it was used today. And the previous year in which it was used was 2012.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe it
Did I
was
go on
used
the,
as a clue.
pardon me?
Maybe it was used as a clue.
I that must be it, right? Because I'm looking at the answers right now.
Hmm.
Um, I'm going to yeah, I should actually investigate that because I am curious as to when it appeared because I can remember the word. I can also remember misspelling it the last time.
Oh dear.
So I really should. Okay, so let's see. Search clues instead of answers. So I'm going to look for Arroyo and no, 2017, 2011, 2010, and 1994.
Wow.
I don't understand it. I wonder if maybe it was arroyos with a what would be the plural of arroyo?
I wouldn't think so.
I'm going to search for arroyos.
Maybe it was a different crossword I'm thinking of because I do others, not just New York Times. So, but
Yeah,
I just sure I'd seen it before.
I'm going to look under arroyos. I saw it appear in clues arroyos, but it was the date was 2017. Uh,
Hmm.
nope. If I search for arroyos plural, I see it appeared in 2015. This is a great mystery to me. Where have I seen the word arroyo? Do we have one in our backyard? Did I accidentally fall into one? And
No, we have
and
to
as I
live
was
in
falling
the
in, I saw the sign arroyo.
you have to live in the Southwest to have an arroyo. Here we just call it a gully or something.
Right.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, this is a curious puzzle here.
It is. We'll
Um,
have to investigate that.
well, let's turn to our listeners. Listeners, do you remember seeing the word arroyo in a crossword of recent vintage? Like within, based on my memory, it would have to be within the last year, maybe two. And let us know if you recall that, and if and bonus points if you can give us the date, um, or
Well,
if
if it's not
honestly,
an X word, it's probably not in the puzzle. So,
I wonder if it's an. Yeah, the only other thing I can think of is if I mean I generally don't do other crosswords. I do a lot of puzzles. It's too
mhm,
long for Wordle. Um,
mhm.
I can't imagine they used it in categories.
No,
Hmm. A
it
mystery.
depends, or
All right. Well,
maybe that spanogram. Maybe it was in a spanogram.
I wonder if I can search spanagrams. All right, this is going to bother me to the end of to the end of the
Oh
recording
dear.
here.
Oh,
Uh,
dear. Uh-huh.
so let's see. There was there a theme here? There was a
There
theme
was
here.
a theme. There
Yeah.
was a theme, and it made me think or wonder, I guess, if Laura Dershowitz was an athlete, because it was all about the sport of volleyball.
Mm-hmm.
And there were three themed clues that didn't have anything to do with volleyball, but they did in a way. So the first one was 20 across, hiccup, which was minor problem. And then we had 34 across, comedian stage performance, which was stand up
Right.
act. And we had 41 across, burst of energy, which was power surge. And then the revealer was 53 across, common volleyball combo, or what the theme clues, or putting the theme clues together, essentially. And that was bump, set, and spike. And those three words, of course, were the volleyball combo, but they also referred to each of the themed clues. A minor problem is a bump, a stand up act is a set, and a power surge is a spike.
Yep.
That was the theme.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Ingenious.
Yeah,
Just
very nice.
just yeah, one of those fun little themes that every crossword constructor seems to be able to haul out of somewhere.
Uh-huh.
It's hard
But
to
I started with what did I start with? Not bump, jump set spike, I guess. But
oh,
that didn't work. But I thought you probably have to be a volleyballer to know that bump set spike um, combination. I mean, I've seen them do it, but I didn't know that's what they called it.
hmm
So. Hmm.
Well, it's hard to tell looking at the depiction of her on X-Word info. It is just sort of a generic gray avatar, so
Oh,
don't know what she looks like. There is sort of like a large circle where a person's head would be. Perhaps that represents a volleyball,
well,
uh, but it's
perhaps.
not orange, so I don't think so.
Uh-huh.
Um, and let's see. I think I know most of the answers and clues by heart because I've gone over this crossword so many times while trying to find a rod.
Right.
Um,
Uh-huh.
you
Oh,
know, I
I
first
looked it up. A rod is about 5.5 yards. So
okay.
I was thinking there was like 1760 in a mile. 1760
No,
yards.
that's yards.
That's yards. So,
Yes.
well, there wouldn't be quite as many rods because they're 5.5 yards. Hmm.
5.5 yards.
Yeah.
What an annoying unit of measure. Ac-
Yeah.
Actually, most of the units, 5,280 feet in a mile, 1,760 yards in a mile. I,
Uh-huh.
I'm waiting for the country to go metric.
Uh-huh. It's
I
actually
probably should not hold my breath.
16.5 feet if you want to be technical about it.
Okay.
So, mhm.
Let's see.
That's it.
We had one across suddenly stopped moving. I had broke because I decided that break and perhaps the opposite of break or the past tense of break would be broke, but it turns out to be froze, which makes a whole lot more sense.
Oh, definitely.
Um, and we that Z of froze ran into four down, Fiddler on the Roof stars, Zero Mustel,
That is correct.
the only real fiddler on the roof. All the rest are just pale imitations.
He was quite good in that, yes.
They are tribute. What was the name of the guy? Tevye? They're
Have you?
tribute. They're
Hmm.
tribute Tevyas is what they are compared to Zero Mustel.
Uh-huh. Oh.
We had
But
six
what,
across.
oh,
Japanese noodle was soba.
that's right. And that's where I had some problems.
Okay,
With 9 down, Heloise's lover was Abelard.
right.
Abelard. I'm not quite sure how
Abelard, I
that's
guess.
pronounced, but I had never heard the story of Abelard and Heloise.
No, it's pretty
I had
tragic.
to look that up, and it is a sad tale indeed.
Yes.
But Abelard or Abelard. Then I also had problems with 64 across. Papal vestment isn't oral or orale. I don't know how that's pronounced either. I'd never heard of it, but I had to look that one up too. So I got a few fun facts for myself
I
out of this,
believe it's.
which is always good.
I think
So,
it's pronounced oral E, short for oral exam.
oh,
Uh,
you think?
no,
Well, it's
yeah, I've
not
never
an
heard of that.
oral exam.
I mean,
It's
I think of vestment as just being clothing.
Well, it is kind of just a big sort of poncho like clothing that the Pope wears over his other robes and stuff. So
You said it's poncho-like. Does he wear it when it's raining?
no, but it's round and it's got a hole for his head and it
Good.
drapes over him. And then I think like maybe they belt it to kind of keep it from flowing. But it's sort of like this big round cape or poncho that he wears over his other vestments.
Huh.
Hmm.
Another issue there with coming off of or the Pope's vestment, we had 47 down. Portugal's capital in Portugal, and of
Hmm.
course it's Lisbon. And
Right.
but then the last letter of what would have been Lisbon and N ran into 67 across. Book often shelved on its side, which was an atlas.
That's
So of course, it
correct.
couldn't be Lisbon. And so I had Lisboa,
Uh-huh.
but that's, I guess, just the Spanish for Lisbon,
But probably Portuguese. Um,
Portugal.
yeah, we put, I was working with our youngest, we put Lisbia, BIA.
Ah,
And um, and so, it didn't solve. So I'm like, well, I really don't know for sure what that vestment is or how the Portuguese would spell Lisbon. So let's just start putting letters in. So we
mhm.
putting different letters, and once we hit O, we got the music.
But of
So
course, you nailed Arroyo and Ione
yes.
and
Mm-hmm.
Actually, even 24 across, pasture sound. It was starting with an M, and I wanted to go for O as O's as in moo,
Oh, uh-huh.
but then 25 down, mysterious knowledge was arcana
Right.
or possibly arcana. And
Mm-hmm.
I knew that. So I didn't think they could have MAO because at one point I actually had MAO in the answer and I thought Mao. I, you have a bunch of people
Yes. Uh-huh.
wandering around looking for the revolution. Mao. But it was Ma, MAA,
Right. We started with Moo too,
right?
but then we knew Ashley, or I knew Ashley, so I know, well, that's got to be an A. So we actually had MOA there for a
Huh.
while
We
because
should
we
have
had
gotten together.
Arcana, but then it was like, no, it's Arcana.
Hmm.
That was one mistake we caught. The orally, the papal vestment, we were just stumped on that one. I had no idea what that
Right.
was.
We had 10 across, pronoun that's falling into disuse, whom.
Whom
I thought that was
I
sort of
didn't
I thought that
realize.
was a sad clue.
Well, I didn't realize that it was falling into disuse. Does no one use that? Whom?
Yeah,
Uh,
there's going to be a headline in the newspaper soon. For whom the bell tolls? For whom?
yeah.
Um, yeah, that's ridiculous. It shouldn't go away. Um,
hmm
let's see. 45 across. Hole near a sole was an eyelet.
Yes,
The sole is at the bottom of the shoe, right?
that is correct. Yes.
That's not really that close to the eyelet. That's at the, I mean, it's
Is,
sort of close, I
is
guess.
any part of a shoe far away from any other part of a shoe? I mean, it's kind of a small thing.
Well, it depends on the shoe size.
Mhm.
I, of course, have, size 26 feet. And so,
Uh-huh.
yes, my sole and my eyelet are quite far away.
Uh-huh. Right. Well, I mean, there are eyelets like on some sneakers, there are eyelets on the side of the shoe, just like
Mhm.
little air holes, I guess. So maybe, and those would be very near the sole. So
Right.
maybe that's what they're talking about.
Let's see. We had, in addition to ARROYO, we had 66 across, younger Stark daughter on Game of Thrones, Arya. So we had
Arya, I think that pronounces it.
Arya and
Mhm.
ARROYO.
Yeah, that's true. So I got a kick out of the 27 down. Earl of Food Storage fame, and it was Tupper. I
Yes.
never realized there was actually a person named Tupper for Tupperware,
Mhm.
but there was.
Apparently.
Earl Tupper.
Yeah, I saw Earl of and couldn't get the word sandwich out of my head.
Yeah.
Earl
Uh-huh.
of, and then I saw food. I thought Earl of Sandwich, but then I got to storage and thought, I don't know. So, and then that first P of Tupper ran into 37 across. Talk excessively, prate.
Great. Mhm.
I've heard about people prattling on.
Uh-huh.
I'm familiar with that, but the word prate, I must have not been paying attention when they talked about it in school.
hmm Yeah. No,
Quit
I've
your.
heard that word.
You have prate?
Maybe in a Shakespearean play or something, but I've
Oh,
heard.
okay. That
Uh,
that would make sense.
mhm.
Um, 43 down, big blank. Seton Hall's conference, Big East?
I guess
Really?
that's what fit.
I mean, there's the Big Ten.
Right. Well,
I
now I think they're the Big 12, but
Okay, Big 12. So shouldn't this be big some other number? And if it's four letters, it would have to be nine. Well,
it's
not
like
necessarily, but
the pack. I think the pack might be 12 now too, but it
hmm.
was pack 10, but
I
so
just thought that was interesting. That it was called the Big East.
the Big East, yes. No, I never heard that.
Sounds sort of like the name of a
I've never
gangster.
lived in the Big East, so I suppose that makes
Big
sense.
East is coming to town. From what direction? Never mind. Um, all right. Well, I think that's probably it for today. So
Okay.
this was a splendid crossword by Laura Dershowitz.
Yes. Thank you, Laura.
Yeah, thank you for bringing to my attention the word arroyo and
And
and rod
rally.
and rod and ione
Mhm.
and many other things as well. Too many to name here.
Right.
But all right, well that is it for today. So thanks everyone for listening. Remember, you can always get a hold of us, crosswordpodcast at icloud.com. And we will be back again with our cutting edge analysis of tomorrow's crossword tomorrow.
Bye-bye.